Mr. Townsend, how are you?
I'm just great. How are you?
I am well, thanks. Congratulations on your win.
Thank you. It was a sweet night.
I can imagine that it was, and now, of course, the real work begins. Certainly, it was a campaign. You defeated Gary Bernstein. Interestingly, you defeated him quite soundly, and I'm curious because Gary Bernstein was the Tea Party candidate, and he lost. Yet Carl Palladino was the Tea Party candidate, and he won. So, what do you see as the role of the Tea Party going forward in your race?
Well, I don't have any disagreements. I've never had any problem with any of the Tea Party groups. I think Gary was the self-proclaimed Tea Party candidate. No Tea Party patriot group that I spoke to went on to endorse Gary in the primary. And, you know, look, the proof is in the numbers. We had support all over the state of New York. We did come up short, as I expected to, on Long Island because that's where Gary lives, but we did very, very well everywhere else.
But, you know, that's also where Rick Lazio lives, and you endorsed Rick Lazio for governor. And then, as it turned out, Carl Palladino, who endorsed Gary Bernstein, won fairly decisively, actually, among Republicans. So you, I assume, now are endorsing Carl Palladino?
I will be voting for Carl. I did endorse him the night of the primary. We have talked. We had friendly talks before the primary, and we've had friendly conversations since. He is now my running mate and the Republican nominee for governor.
But, you know, some of your fellow Republicans, like Harry Wilson, also a ticket mate of yours, he's running for comptroller, and Dan Donovan, the Staten Island district attorney, who is running for attorney general, also a ticket mate of yours, don't want to say that they'll be voting for Mr. Palladino. Actually, they don't even want to be appearing with him in the same room, much less the same sentence.
Well, in the end, everybody's going to run their own campaign. My sights are set on Chuck Schumer. We'll be talking about our disagreements, our differences in philosophy. I'm going to be talking about his record and how he intends, one way or the other, to do something about this enormous tax burden in New York. And I would like to hear him explain why we've done such a terrible job of creating jobs in New York. Ultimately, Carl will be running against Mr. Cuomo. I am running against Chuck Schumer, and that's what I'm focused on right now.
But do you not worry that Carl Palladino's outspoken views, I mean, just today he's quoted in the Daily News as calling former Governor George Pataki, who's from your neck of the woods, and I believe that the two of you are friends, a degenerate idiot. Are you not concerned that things like that are going to pull the whole ticket down?
Frankly, I wish Carl hadn't said that. I think Governor Pataki was a great governor. I wish he was still governor right now. New York had a great bond rating when Governor Pataki was running the show. We were moving forward with Medicaid reform. We since stopped that. At least there was some semblance of trying to keep reins on the growth of the state budget. There has not been in recent times. So. But like I say, I'm running against Chuck Schumer. I'm not writing speeches for the other candidates, and I'm not running their campaigns. So.
Well, you did used to run quite a few campaigns yourself as a consultant, so I know you have some insight into this.
Yes, I do.
I just also want to ask you before we leave this topic and get into the issue of Chuck Schumer, you know, there is some concern now you have a situation where Rick Lazio, who you endorsed as we mentioned, is now on the conservative line with you. So you have the unusual situation, along with Greg Edwards, the lieutenant governor, of being on multiple lines with different people. You are running on the Republican ticket with Palladino. You are running on the conservative ticket with Rick Lazio. Some people see a potential problem, as in what happened in '90 with Pierre Renfray and Herb London. Just this morning, Herb London said he thinks that this is not going to be good and that he's endorsing Palladino. Do you think that Rick Lazio should drop out of the race?
Look, I can't make Rick's decisions for him. Rick has to do what's right for Rick. But welcome to New York politics. Number one, campaigns are unpredictable. Number two, we do have a system that strikes the rest of the country as Byzantine. We're more like Europe than the rest of America in the way we play politics in New York. Sometimes it works out for the better and sometimes not. But like I say, at this point right now, my sights are focused on Chuck Schumer. The important thing for me is I have both the Republican and the conservative line. We worked for months for that to win that Republican primary, and we were successful. And now it's time to move on toward the November campaign.
And you're satisfied at this point with the leadership of both those parties, because the chairman, that would be Ed Cox on the Republican Party, and Mike Long in the Conservative Party, are under fire for their picks and their support up to this point in this campaign.
Well, the important thing is, in my race, I have the full support of the Conservative State Chair, Mr. Long, and now the full support of the Republican Chair, Ed Cox. Mr. Cox was very, very gracious on election night. I believe he was the first one to call to congratulate me and to say that in any way, shape, or form that the state party could be helpful to me, they're willing to do it.
Okay, let's talk about Chuck Schumer. You said on the night that you won that you don't want to have, you want him to debate you. You don't want to have just one debate at 3 in the morning on some obscure radio station somewhere, but yet you do not expect him to accept the challenge. Now, that's interesting because that was a real mistake that Rick Lazio made. He ignored Carl Palladino, and he did so at his own peril. Do you see this as similar? Because the one difference, of course, is that you don't have the money that Carl Palladino does to be a major fear factor for Chuck Schumer.
Well, I will tell you, we accepted an invitation to debate in October today. I believe it was WABC who issued the invitation. But look, if I were Chuck Schumer, I'm not sure I'd want to come back to New York and talk about this record. And I think he's going to fiercely resist it. And the reason is, if you look at this record of the Schumer-led Senate over the last couple of years, Senator Schumer helped ram through the Senate a health care bill that a majority did not want, a health care bill that is not working. We were promised that health insurance premiums would go down. It's now evident that they're skyrocketing. And there's a good reason that Democrats are now being told don't talk about the health care bill because it's very, very unpopular. He rammed through the United States Senate a $1 trillion pork-laden stimulus bill that did not work, did not do what we were promised it would do. Unemployment was not kept below 8%. It has skyrocketed since. So that's the Schumer record. I don't think he really wants to come home and defend it.
Okay, but Jay,
I think he should.
But Jay, we haven't even heard from him. I mean, you won this primary on Tuesday night. Prior to the primary, just in the days leading up to it, Chuck Schumer's spokesman said he would be addressing this race after the primary. He didn't even want to talk about it. I mean, this isn't just Rose Garden. This is like in the jungle somewhere strategy of completely ignoring you.
It says something about Senator Schumer that instead of acknowledging that there's a campaign here and that he has an opponent and a record to defend, he's hiding behind one of the 7 press secretaries on his staff. Which is another annoyance to me. 7 press secretaries on his staff that cost taxpayers $400,000 a year, and instead of standing in front of a TV camera defending his own record, he chooses to hide behind them. What's wrong with this guy?
Well, he isn't shy about TV cameras, that's for sure. He routinely has Sunday press conferences. I'm sure we'll be hearing from him soon. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but we will also, I'm sure, be hearing from you. I want to thank you very much, Jay Townsend. Again, congratulations on your victory.
And thank you for having me on.
We'll be seeing you soon.
Have a great evening. All right.